welcome back to a very, very different 5 minutes at the Frat House with Frat House Mike and Sidekick. And we're coming to you here on a early Saturday afternoon as we were kind of knocked off schedule for a couple of days as a result of Hurricane Sandy that hit through this area on Monday afternoon and Monday evening. And mercifully, while we didn't sustain any terrific damage, at least nothing like the videos that we've seen from New Jersey and New York, we did lose power for a couple of days, and that kind of set us back on schedule for a few. So nonetheless, we are still the most consistent show as we are here, albeit just a couple of days late. But unfortunately, there are still many who are still, even just in this region, who are waiting for power and waiting for just bare essentials. And from all of us here at the Frat House, our prayers and our best hopes and wishes to all of you that, and hope things get back on track for you real quick and real soon. But in the meantime, let's do this. Let's try to get your mind off of all of the negative things that have happened in the past week by talking a little bit of sports, Sidekick. And we're going to kick it off by sending out a shout out and a congratulations to the San Francisco Giants.
Who?
Frowned upon in this establishment.
Who won their second World Series in the past 3 seasons. And it was just in last week's show, it was a little bit over a week ago, I said, Sidekick, that we'll be coming back to you either with a Game 7, it could be a long series, or it could be over. And as it turned out, well, boy, it was over in 4 straight games.
Yep, they did us the favor.
The Giants swept
Got it over with.
the Detroit Tigers 4 games to nothing. And so I've been asking this question all week, Sidekick. And I don't know whether you care to engage on it or not, but I'm going to throw it at you. Were the Giants just kind of a lucky team, a team that was playing at the right time, kind of like your Cardinals did last season? Or are we looking at the new best of the West? Is this going to be a West Coast dynasty that they're? I mean, 2 and 3 seasons. That's thoughts.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh boy. Well, that's my question, and I guess we're going to just have to wait until February and March of next year to find out whether, in fact, whether we've got a dynasty there or not. I'm not quite sure. Frankly, I didn't see it coming, and I didn't see the Giants.
2 and 3 years, I don't know if you're really talking a dynasty at that point.
No, not then. But I'm saying, is it building towards something? That's I guess my question.
Well,
Do they have what it takes to perhaps, hit another one next year? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I didn't see it coming. I frankly thought that Detroit would give them a bit more of a fight than that. I didn't think that Detroit would get swept.
Yeah, well, they weren't exactly tigers. They were more like little pussycats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, listen, last but not least, at least from me here at the Frat House, congrats to the San Francisco Giants and their fans. All right, let's go over and check on a sport another one that's kind of in their waning days, and that's NASCAR. We just have 3 races now remaining in the championship playoff called the Chase. And last week we were down at Martinsville, a race, frankly, I thought perhaps could have gotten disrupted by the pending storm, but no, luckily they got it in, and so did Jimmy Johnson, as he won his first of the Chase and put himself on top, in the top spot on the leaderboard. And I think I called that one 6 weeks ago. I said, hey, watch Jimmy Johnson. Others who came in the top 5 at Martinsville included Kyle Busch in second, Casey Kane came in third, Eric Almirola came in fourth.
There you go.
And Clint Boyer in 5th place. And so now with just 3 races remaining in the Chase, as I pointed out, what does the leaderboard look like at this point? Well, Sidekick, I think every single position on the board changed with the exception of the number 12 spot, which is currently held by Junior as a result of missing those 2 races. But there's Johnson. He takes over the number 1 spot, just a mere 2 points ahead, only 2 ahead of Brad Keselowski. Yep. It's starting to feel a little bit like last year. We just change up the players a little bit. Mm-hmm. Clint Boyer moved up to the number 3 spot thanks to his top 5 finish, and Casey Kane moved up as well to the number 4 with his 3rd place finish at Martinsville. And it certainly has gotten quite competitive. Now, my question to you, Sidekick, the guys in the gray that we've got there on the board, Hamlin and Gordon, Are we beginning to see enough traction now from the top 4 that perhaps maybe these guys become an afterthought?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly, I think Kane's on the bubble, and Boyer. Now this week, if either one of those can get a win, and Johnson or Keselowski have a bad race,
right,
you could see things switch up a little bit. But I think you're slowly eliminating the top 4.
Right.
And it's going to come down, depending on how this race goes, with Johnson on the pole for this week, which doesn't bode well because Keselowski doesn't necessarily qualify or run well here. You're gonna see possibly the 1 and 2 distance themselves from 3 and 4, and it's gonna come down to 1 and 2.
So next week, our gray area might actually start to get a little larger than what we've got here.
I think so. Yeah, definitely.
And it's interesting you bring up Johnson, as you pointed out, we're heading down this week to the Texas Motor Speedway. That's a 1.5 mile oval. And in an article I just wrote just yesterday for Frat House Sports on Jimmy Johnson, I had pointed out that Johnson only has won at Texas once. However, he does run well here with 7 top 5s and 14 top 10s in 17 races that he's had there. So I'm going to be curious to hear whether you've got Johnson in your fantasy picks.
Well, now, before we get to the fantasy picks, though, I want to point out one thing. Our kind of experiment that we started talking about once we started color coding the chart.
Right.
Kansas moved up another spot this week. Texas typically is good for Roush drivers. If Kansas can pull off a win here,
right,
I'm quite interested to see how far he moves up. I don't think he's in contention for a championship, but I'm interested to see possibly how high up he can get to actually maybe be competitive.
There's a maximum number of points, however, he could get.
Sure.
I mean, that would be what? Then you say it was in the 40s.
Yeah, I think so.
And would 40 be enough to move him?
Well, it depends how the rest of the pack goes.
All right.
But is our experiment? It's going to be interesting if he does get a win, how far that moves him up the list, and where does he finish out the season? Because he was 12th, I think, when we started.
Yeah, that's correct.
11th or 12th. So it'll be interesting to see how far he could get up there.
And it's of course, all that's going to depend on what the other guys at the top are doing. So
absolutely, yeah.
And so, do you have Johnson in your picks for fantasy?
Actually, no, I don't. Actually, I don't have Johnson. So,
what's fantasy looking like?
Well, as you say, yee-haw, we're going to Texas. We're going to go racing this week. So here we go. Texas Motor Speedway is about 3 drivers for the most part. I mean, yes, Johnson's got to win there, but this is really about Biffle, Edwards, and Kansas. This has been a Roush-dominated track. It's very similar to Charlotte. It's a little bit different because they couldn't copy it exactly, but it's similar in its configuration with your quad oval and that. But Johnson, we know, dominates Charlotte. You can see Johnson run well here, but it's usually the Roush drivers. Another driver you want to look at mid-pack from a fantasy perspective is going to be Martin Truex Jr., who's been running well. And then your bargain special for this week is going to be Trevor Bayne.
Really?
Yes, because he's lower on the price.
Yeah, right.
And he runs pretty well. So you can't, obviously, you only got so much money to spread across your team, so you're going to have to get somebody down there at the bottom. Right. So that's why
what we refer to as the bottom feeder, right?
Right, and that's kind of what I've been trying to do, is highlight some of the bargain specials, the guys down at the bottom that may run well and actually get you some decent points, not the park and start or start and parks and stuff like that. So that's fantasy this week.
All right, there you have it. Going into Texas, and we only have 2 races left thereafter. All right, before we jump into everybody's favorite segment, which is our NFL picks, earlier this afternoon we had a chance to chit-chat with our buddy Ken Avallon, who's the president and founder of the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. And we taped that earlier, and we want to bring you that conversation right now. All righty, we got Ken Avallon on the line. And Ken, we appreciate you being with us here this afternoon. Ken is the president and the founder of the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. And Ken, many in the Philadelphia region like completely unaware of the fact that there is a Philly Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame, and yet it's nearly a decade old. And one of the things that I have pointed out to you on a number of occasions is, and I think it's a great story how the whole thing started. So I thought perhaps briefly you could just very briefly let everybody know how this thing got started.
Sure. I'm glad to be here, guys. I appreciate it. Basically about 10 years ago, I was reading Frank Fitzpatrick's article in the Inquirer. He used to do a thing called Morning Bites. And he had a little note there saying, wouldn't it be neat if there was a Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame? Then he went and listed some of the old-time players like Jimmy Fox, Will Chamberlain, going back to, Bill Field and people like that. And he said it would be great if we had one. And I read it. I said, there's got to be a Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame with the history of sports here in the city. And I spent about 2 weeks doing research, and I literally could not come up with any Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. There were some like some real niche halls of fame, like the Big Five had their own.
Right.
And the Philadelphia Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. I think Rowing probably had some type of a hall or a museum or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I got together with a couple family members, a couple of friends, and I said, what do you guys think? And they said, you know what, let's see what we can do. So we actually spent an entire year, really doing kind of the background work, the legwork. Wrote a charter, wrote a constitution, kind of defined, some of the processes for voting, for induction. What we do is we contacted a lot of other regional halls of fame.
Right.
A lot of states and cities have their own. Syracuse, Buffalo, Texas, Virginia, Georgia, Alabama, places like that. And they were very helpful. They kind of let us know what works for them, what areas to kind of avoid. And then a year later, it was June of '03, we kind of went public with it.
Yeah.
And we were on the front page of the Inquirer sports page.
Yeah.
Another article by Frank Fitzpatrick. And
That's
that kind of took off after that.
It's really, really cool because, and I know I've pointed this out to you before. It's like it started from your kitchen table, literally.
It's exactly right. I mean, it really did. We took turns, and we meet at my house, and
Right.
kind of spin the meetings around. I mean, we're all volunteers. So basically, we try to meet either after work during the week, or maybe like an early Saturday morning, so we can you get the meeting out of the way and go back to coach our kids or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But you're right. It was literally started in kitchen tables, dining room tables. That's kind of how we got started.
Yeah, it's a great homespun sort of story. Now, you've got your ninth class being inducted and formally enshrined into the hall. Now, you've got some big names that are going in, and that includes Eric Lindros and Doug Collins, Mike Piazza. But there are a lot of other lesser-known types that are going in as well. And that's all part of the mission of the hall, isn't it?
Well, it really is. I mean, one of the things we kind of found during our research with these regional halls was that some of them, kind of focused mainly on the four major sports, and other ones were really kind of all sports at all levels. And it seemed the ones that were, all sports, all levels, had more of a success behind them. And that's really kind of the charter of the hall. We're all sports, all levels. So we're literally high school, college, Olympic, and professional, and it's all sports. I mean, we do golf, we do boxing, tennis, in addition to the four major sports. So this year we've got, you mentioned some of the bigger names. Wally Jones, another local Philadelphia guy, Villanova, played for the Sixers. He's going in.
Right.
Johnny McDermott, local guy, Philadelphia-born, two-time winner of the U.S. Open in golf.
Right.
Unfortunately, a lot of people probably never even heard of him.
No.
This year being an Olympic year, Horace Ashenfelder, he won an Olympic gold medal in the steeplechase in the 1952 Olympics. Mm-hmm. So those kind of names, it's neat for us to be able to kind of bring back a little bit for people to look at and say, wow, I didn't know that. That's quite a history, especially with Philadelphia sports history going back over 120 years.
Yeah.
Hey Ken, it's Sidekick here.
Yep.
We Mike and I came down and we covered the the press conference and that was a lot of fun seeing who the class is going to be this year and hearing some of their stories. Now, when you have the induction and that, there's a Hall of Fame, but there isn't really a physical building to speak of. Can you update us on that?
Sure. Yeah, I guess we're sort of victims of our own success a little bit. You saw a glimpse of what we're able to do at the press conference. So picture that, 10 or 15 or 20 fold at the induction. When you guys are there, you'll be able to see that. And you'll see we really put on a first class event. And almost since day one, people have been asking us, so where's the hall, where's the museum? Yeah. And I get, it's a legitimate question. People think of Hall of Fame, they think of they think of Canton.
Canton.
But yeah, there's not the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But the unfortunate reality is that the museum business is not a moneymaker, and it's a tough business plan. And over the years we've talked with a number of folks. Most recently we had our most serious discussions with the folks down at Xfinity Live. And there's a phase 2 that's in the works. There's really no timeline for that. But we're in that mix, at least in the discussion. But for the past 5 years, we were down in Northern Liberties. We had, the term we're using is kind of a museum staging facility, where we had some of our items on display. And what we really were able to do was really kind of create a virtual digital inventory of our collection. We'll create a display. Maybe it might be the Palestra display or the vet stage display, or right. Maybe a Joe Verdure display, and electronically catalog that, so that when it comes time to make a presentation for the museum, or hopefully move into a kind of a permanent museum facility, you kind of have almost a turnkey situation with a full inventory of exhibits and displays.
Right. Now, as I said, the induction ceremony this Thursday night, that's November 8th, that's down at the Society Hill Sheraton in downtown Philly. People can still get in on that. Are there tickets still available, Ken?
Yeah, there are. Tickets have been going well. We're well over 300 people. We do anticipate terrific. Another sellout, but tickets are available online. The web address is phillyhall.org/class9.
Okay. All right.
And right from there, you can order tickets. You can order. We actually do have a couple of tables that are still available, and also even congratulatory ads are still available.
Terrific. All right, Ken, we appreciate it, and we wish you the best of luck with that. I know this is a major fundraiser for you guys, and I hope we're going to encourage everybody. If they're interested in going, go to phillyhall.org and get your tickets before Thursday. And we appreciate you being with us, Ken.
Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, it's a great night. I mean, the focus is on the current inductees. We always have a lot of neat things going on. The Philly Fanatics going to be there. The Flyers' wives, they have a Harley that they're looking to kind of raffle off. They're going to be there. We're going to have a live radio feed there for Wally Jones as a radio show.
Oh, terrific!
So in addition to the induction itself, it's really a neat night. It's really a unique night in the sports calendar of Philadelphia. That's
terrific. All right, we wish you the best.
Thanks, guys. See you guys next Thursday.
All right, Ken. Thanks.
Take care.
Take care. All righty, and I want to thank Ken for being with us today. That was a terrific interview. Great organization. We've been affiliated with them now for, I guess just about a year. Yep. And I just love the homegrown concept of it. How it all started from their homes and how we got this thing going just like that. So
and honestly, as passionate as Philadelphia is about sports.
Yeah.
To find out that 11 years ago there was not a Hall of Fame in Philadelphia, it's just amazing.
It's amazing, I know, and hats off to Ken for filling the void. And so, listen, if you're a sports fan in the Philadelphia or Delaware Valley region, I encourage you to support Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, phillyhall.org. Even if you can't attend the inductions, they certainly accept volunteers and contributions. So go check them out on the web. Okay, we're heading into week 9 of the NFL season. How about that one, huh?
Yep.
Who'd have thunk it? We are at the exact midpoint of the NFL season. And many of the games we've chosen this week are kind of do or die kind of situations for some of the teams. Like this one. How about the Carolina Panthers, who are 1-6, at the Washington Redskins, who are 3-5, and that game is the 1 o'clock game on Sunday. And the talk the past few weeks, Sidekick, has been what happened to the real Cam Newton, huh? Sophomore slump or what? Despite the fact the Panthers hung in there against the Chicago Bears and really nearly beat them, they only lost by a mere point, 23-22 last week. Cam Newton really didn't help their cause much. He went 20 of 39 with no TDs, but he had 2 interceptions and a 57.0 QB rating. In fact, there was no offensive TDs in that game at all for the Panthers. They had a defensive fumble recovery in an end zone, and then Justin Medlock had 5. Count them, 5 field goals, and that's where their points came from. Oof, I guess the Cam Newton of 2012 has to be RG3 over with the Washington Redskins, who truly has looked like the real deal. But even he wasn't enough against the Pittsburgh Steelers, as the Redskins fell to the Steel City 27-12 last weekend. RG3 right now is currently ranked the 7th quarterback in the entire league. But he really only had a mediocre day last weekend, ending up with a 72.8 QB rating. I made the comment the other day, Sidekick, that I think the Redskins are probably still a season or 2 away from being like real contenders. I think they're going to need to build around RG3. RG3 is a good place to start, but I really think that they're going to need to build around him before we take notice. This is one of those do-or-die games, I think, for both teams.
Absolutely.
Washington is favored by 3. Where do you see this one going?
Well, it's funny because you got last year's sweetheart up against this year's sweetheart.
Exactly.
In Cam Newton and RG3. So it'll be interesting to see how the quarterbacks fare in this game. I'm going with the home team. I'm going to go with the Skins.
Going to go with the Skins, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go with Carolina on a gut feeling on this one. I think that pressure is probably on Cam Newton. I think he's going to come out. I think he's going to have a good day, and I think that RG3, just that team being what they are, I think you're going to see the Redskins fall tomorrow. I'm picking Carolina. Let's go take a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 4-3, at the New York Giants, who are 6-2. Excuse me. And that's the 4:25 game on Sunday. Now, we just talked a little bit about the Steelers putting on the Redskins last week in that one. And last week, Big Ben, he looked like the Big Ben from a couple of seasons ago, going 24 of 33 for 222 yards. He had 3 TDs, no interceptions, and 121.0 QB rating. The Giants were in a bit of a dogfight with the Dallas Cowboys last weekend, allowing the boys to make a comeback in the third quarter before ultimately winning that game 29-24. Eli Manning was really so-so. He went 15 of 29 with 0 TDs, but he did have an interception. What saved them, I think, was the balanced attack that I recommended that they get back to, and they did last week. Going 103 yards on the ground, led by Ahmad Bradshaw, who had 78 of those, and then another 192 in the air to 5 different receivers. No salsa dance, however, for Victor Cruz. Perhaps they'll get one this week as the Giants are favored by 3. What do you think?
Well, you got Steel City coming into the Jersey Shore, and the G-Men are gonna fist pump all over the Steelers. So I'm going with the G-Men.
And this is a Jersey area that was devastated last week by that hurricane. Many of you probably saw the video. I would say the G-Men are going to win it anyhow, but I think they probably have even more passion to do so this week. Take the Giants. The Dallas Cowboys are 3-4, and they are playing the Atlanta Falcons, who are 7-0. And that's the Sunday night game at 8:30. And again, here we go. We just talked a little bit about the loss the Cowboys took against the Giants. And frankly, it was surprising to me that the Cowboys really nearly won that game, considering the performance that Tony Romo had. Dear God, he put the ball in the air 62 times. He only completed 36 of those. But when you put the ball in the air that many times, what are you going to have? Interceptions. And that he did. How about 4 of them? I guess the shining stars really for the Cowboys were the trio of Jason Witten, Miles Austin, and Des Bryant, who all had a combined 410 receiving yards. All right, let's go take a look at the Falcons. What can we say here, huh? They're the last remaining undefeated team in the league, and with performances like what we saw from Matty Ice last week in the Falcons' stomp down of the lackluster Philadelphia Eagles 30-17, it's no wonder they're undefeated. Matt Ryan was damn near perfect in that game against the Eagles, completing 22 of 29 passes for 262 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions, and a QB rating of 137.4. The Falcons are favored by 4 at home. Is anyone going to beat the Falcons this year, Sidekick?
Well, here's the thing. There's been a lot of rhetoric, I guess, to use a big word.
Go ahead.
For the fans out there at home, The Falcons are, yes, they're undefeated, but they haven't beaten a team over 500 yet. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got Dallas coming in, who's not a 500 team, but has a history of knocking off undefeated opponents. Mm-hmm. So this is an interesting matchup to see whether they're going to come out of this being undefeated or if they're going to get their first loss. They're playing at home. I'm going with the Falcons on this one.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
And this is my bomb diggity bomb pick of the week.
I think you have to go with the Falcons on this one. I mean, I was just so unimpressed with the Cowboys' performance last week and with what I've been seeing from Tony Romo. And the play calling. I think the play calling of the Cowboys has been horrific. Absolutely horrible. Get that fixed, will you? And maybe the Cowboys will have a shot. Let's go take a look at a controversial game, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles 3-4 at the New Orleans Saints, who are 2-5, and that's the Monday night game. And I say controversial because, as I just mentioned, the lackluster Eagles lost to the Falcons. This Eagles team just looks like they're coming apart at the seams right before our very eyes. It's much like last year again, so I get that kind of feeling. Controversy after controversy continues to swirl around the team. And this week was no exception, as the question became, does Michael Vick get benched in favor of rookie Nick Foles? Well, it took Andy Reid until Thursday to stop the speculation, indicating he never had any intention of changing his quarterback and thinking of going with Foles. So
yeah, and we've heard that before.
We can expect to see Vick, who went 21 of 35 for 191 yards and 1 TD. I mean, he didn't have a horrible day, but we can expect to see him going up against the Falcons, or rather up against the Saints this week. It really seems to me that the Eagles' defense needs to come to play this game. On the other side, you almost have to feel bad at this point for Drew Brees, who really has had not a bad season at all. And he had a pretty good game last week in a losing effort to the Denver Broncos, as the Saints took their 5th loss of the season and losing to the Broncos 34-14. However, against the Eagles this week, he doesn't have Darren Sproles. This is another team where the defense really has been highly questionable. This is really a do-or-die game right here on the schedule for the Eagles. They're going to the Dome, and they're a 3-point dog. Where do you see this one going?
Well, we heard this week about Vic having a players-only meeting and all that stuff, and you talk radio in Philly is about how the fans are now rooting for the Eagles to lose, so that Reed can finally go and stuff like that. I'm going to take Saints on this one. Who dat?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to show some homerism here. I'm going to stick with the Eagles, and I will not deny it. I'm doing it strictly because I'm going to give them one last chance. I think they got to win. All right.
Cheers.
All right. Those are our 4 games for this week.
Yep.
Let's go take a look at our Frat House Facebook post of the week, which just before the storm came, the Hurricane Sandy, I came across this amusing picture which I posted up on our Facebook page, which read, "Hurricane Sandy, America's ready for you, bitch." Well, it got the most views, and it was kind of funny at the time. And like I said, it did get the most views for the entire week. So I'm giving that to you as our Frat House Facebook post of the week. I think that guy, by the way, that's pictured there, I think he's in one of our NASCAR fantasy leagues. I just guess. I don't know.
Hashtag suck it, Sandy.
Alrighty, listen, fan junkies, got to get out there, got to like them. All right, there have been some improvement made over there. They were down for a little bit, as a lot of us were this past week because of the storm, but they're back up and running again as well. Same thing with fan junkies. We've gotten knocked off the air for the past couple of weeks. First by our host Jonathan, he had been ill for a couple of days, and then this past week we got knocked out with this storm. So we plan on being back on Monday. Fan Junkies Radio over on Blog Talk Radio. Check it out. Hey, have you looked at Frat House Sports? Boy, have I been throwing some content up there since we got power back. I just went nuts in the past 2 days. So there's all kinds of new stories up there, and I'm adding more every single day. And we even have a new contributor. We have a new writer, and that new writer is our buddy over at the Sport Goonies. Jason Tallman wrote us up a nice article on the Atlanta Falcons. who it looks like we're thinking is going to probably go 8-0 this week. So, the Sport Goonies, you want to check them out. That's a Facebook page. Get over there and like that group. All right? Okay. There you have it for a Saturday afternoon, a rare Saturday afternoon here. College football day. I got to go get the games on in a moment. But you got one more thing you have to do. You got to keep us real, you got to keep us live, and you got to keep us going. We'll be back at the regular time next week. See you then.
Again, the 2-2 pitch. Got him looking, and the Giants have won it all. This team that was down 2-0 going on the road to Cincinnati in the division series, they came back and won it. Down 3-1 to the Cardinals.